Okay, so yesterday I was teaching my 4-year-old daughter a little bit about the Pueblo Revolt of 1680, and when I showed her this picture, she said that it looked like a piñata. I thought that was kind of funny, so I posted this on Facebook. I was teaching my 4-year-old daughter about the Pueblo Revolt of 1680 and I showed her this picture. She said it looks like a piñata. Then this post got this comment. I'm gonna put the comment, but I'm gonna scratch out the people's names. I don't want to put nobody on blast. It's spoken out of innocence and truth. Think about it. Where did they come up with the piñata? Do the history and it all leads to the Spanish conquest of the Americas. She's very smart. It's exactly where piñatas come from, but in time it turned into something fun for play, for laughter and children instead of sorrow. So this person is trying to say that the reason Hispanic people and Mexicans celebrate with piñatas, get the piñata, hang it, fill it with candy, have the kids hit it with a stick, is due to the Spanish conquest. So they're trying to say that we're celebrating the brutality that took place during the Spanish conquest. So I wanted to set the record straight. No, piñatas didn't come from the Spanish conquest. They didn't even come from Spain. So the idea of a piñata originated in China. Then it got picked up by the Italians, and then eventually the Spanish. And then the Mexicans already celebrated something like that. So when the Spanish came to Mexico and seen they celebrated it, they kind of combined them. Now I'm going to go to my computer in my studio and I'm going to read you this article. This article will explain it better than I can, so I'm just going to read it to you. Watch, check this out. Okay, so if you want to find this article, I'll put the link in the description. So this says, in the late 13th century, Marco Polo, an explorer and merchant from Venice, Italy, traveled the Silk Road. That was the name for what was then the main trade route between Europe and Asia. He wrote a famous book about his experiences, and he also brought home interesting things and ideas that later spread across Europe. While in Asia, Marco Polo came across a New Year's tradition involving hollow sculptures shaped like the local farm animals, cows, oxen, and water buffalo. Villagers would craft the sculptures out of paper-like material and stuff them with seeds. As part of the celebration, they would hang the sculptures and hit them with sticks until they broke and the seeds poured out, symbolizing their hope for good weather and an abundant harvest in the coming year. So that's where piñatas originated. Then, Marco Polo is said to have brought a few examples of the Chinese sculptures home with him that inspired Italians to adopt a similar tradition, give it a European name, and use it as a symbol in Christian religious ceremonies. In the early 14th century, Italians began to fill clay cooking pots called piñatas with treats and break them to celebrate the first Sunday of the Catholic season of Lent. The Spaniards later adopted this tradition with slightly different clay pots and a Spanish spelling, piñata. Although the pots were plain at first, over time the Europeans began to decorate the piñatas with colorful ribbons and paper. The piñata really took off and began to make its way into Hispanic and Latino culture in the 1500s when Catholic missionaries began traveling across the Atlantic to Mesoamerica, modern-day Mexico, Central America. With the Spanish conquistadores, the missionaries discovered the happy coincidence that similar traditions already existed among the native Aztec and Mayan populations. Religious missionaries have long known that converting other people is easier if you can associate your religion with something they already do or believe in. The Aztecs celebrated the birthday of Huitzilopochtli, forgive my pronunciation, their god of war, with a piñata-like ritual every December, which is also the month in which Christianity celebrates the birth of Jesus. Aztec priests would decorate a clay pot and fill it with small gifts, and then place the pot on a pole in the temple of Huitzilopochtli. Forgive my translation again. The clay pot was then hit with a stick until it broke open, showering the god with gifts in honor of his birthday. The Mayans, who were very much into sports and competitions, also played a game in which the players' eyes would be covered and they would have to try to hit a hanging clay pot. The Spanish missionaries took advantage of the similarity of the piñata to these existing traditions to help attract the native populations to Catholicism. The first written record of use of the piñata by Spanish missionaries took place in 1586 in the town of Alcolman de Nezahualcóyotl, now a part of Mexico, close to Teotihuacan. Augustinian friars organized special masses in the 12 days leading up to Christmas, where they used the piñata to help teach the native people about the principles of Christianity. The priests decorated the piñatas with 7 cones to present the 7 deadly sins. envy, sloth, gluttony, greed, lust, anger, and pride. Smashing those cones and the piñata with the stick to release its treat was likely meant to symbolize the defeat of evil and the rewards of good behavior. So that's where piñatas came from. They didn't come from the Spanish conquest. We're not practicing brutality every time we hit a piñata. And that is what I was talking about when I was teaching you guys about La Leyenda Negra, the Black Legend. See, the Black Legend is still being spread today. Anyway, I hope you learned something new. Thank you for watching. This is Tragedy. I'm out.